Right?
Looks like the audio's going through. Changing the font. That's lame. That's also lame. It's a little classier, but still a little lame.
What?
This one is just symbols.
In for what we're doing later.
Should we keep it then?
I don't know. That might be.
No. All right, we're doing. We just got.
Little edgy.
I just got a bold one. All right. Let me get it out there that we're streaming. Then we're good to go. Guess let me bring up this stupid Celtics team.
I hit a snag with my players. I just searched like Guangdong Tigers on Twitter to see like who was getting the tweets.
Oh, I did that too. I had to do some research.
Wait, I just had one. Tough that he makes the cut.
Oh yeah, no, I was
Game time decision.
Yeah, I have the perfect like backups in place in case you take them.
Yeah.
Like I'm ready to go. This is a super team.
This is a super team.
You care about having Jamari on Friday?
Sure.
He keeps bitching at me on Twitter that he's not coming on, so I was like, sure. I told him to wait
Does
until
he
after the
listen?
series. No, I don't think he's. I still don't think he does, which makes him a bum. I should just say. Should have just told him he should have to listen.
Just tell him tomorrow if he can tell us what we talked about today in detail.
Yeah.
Obviously, he can guess.
Oh, I'm sending him the link right now. I'm gonna say, better see you in the comments. All right. Let's get this over with.
Can make it quick. At least the first part we can make quick if you want.
We'll give it its right time because we got to talk about Game 6 too. So.
Oh yeah.
So that'll be. Sorry, I'm just fixing some things. All right. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm good. All right. Just trying to delay it as long as possible. All right. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the Wise Guys podcast. I'm your host, Brady Fitzgerald, joined as always by my co-host, Chris Hagan.
How you guys doing?
Yeah, you know, it happened. I'm doing all right. Last night,
The inevitable show is finally here.
It is here. Whether it happened now, whether it happened in Game 6, still be in the same position. Whether it happened in the finals, I'd still be sitting here talking about the Boston Celtics losing because I didn't think they were going to win the finals. I do got to say, just at the jump, I predict when they were down 0-3, I read the script out loud. I told them because maybe it was after they won a couple games, but I said they're just gonna win enough to make it a 7-game series, and then they're gonna break my heart at home and have some disastrous performance coming at home, and that's what happened.
It was disastrous.
It was disastrous. So Where do I start? Where do I start?
Want to do like a whole season in review before we get into the game, or just talk about the game?
We could do that. So, yeah, we could do that. This season, the 2023 or 2022-2023 Boston Celtics came into the year high expectations, just lost the finals, got Malcolm Brogdon, uh, supposed to be upgraded from the bench. Um, it's supposed to be a better team than last year. All of a sudden, Ime Udoka, the head coach of last year's team, has this scandal we talked about on here a couple times. I'm not going to get into detail about that because I don't know much about that. But they fired him. All of a sudden, we have some guy named Joe Mazzulla come in. He's the coach. Sure, whatever. The talent on the team, the aurora of the team, the heart of the team, they're supposed to be a 1 seed, a 2 seed, and going into the season firing on all cylinders. They start off the season really hot. They struggle a little bit. They have these weird games where if they're not hitting threes, like they really don't know what to do. Uh, Nevertheless, that's a preview for what eventually happens in the playoffs. And there was a time I remember we're sitting here. It was later in the regular season, and we're sitting here, and I'm saying they have to get the 1 seed. They have to get the 1 seed. They have to beat or they have to prove that they're the best, be better than the Bucks. The Bucks, they overtake the 1 seed from them, and it actually worked out in my favor. The Atlanta Hawks matched up with them in the playoffs. They beat the Heat in the play-in game. I didn't want to see the Heat. I was all about not facing the Heat. And then we struggle against the Hawks. We take them to 6 games, where it definitely should have been 6. Talent-wise, it should have been a full 4-game sweep. 76ers come around. They take to 7. At least they have Embiid and Harden. They're supposed to be this powerhouse team. Some people thought they were better. Still didn't think they were going to have to go to 7. Now, here we are. We're facing the Miami Heat. The team I didn't want to see at all. The team that has a chip on their shoulder from last year. They're 1 shot away from beating us in the Eastern Conference Finals. And they blow the first 3 games completely. Just look like no heart in there at all.
We're dead.
They were dead. We buried them. Then, in my predictable fashion, they come back alive for 3 more games just to rip my heart out again and be dead in Game 7. So, I guess, should we talk about Game 6 first and then 7? 6 we can go quick.
No, we can do the good stuff.
Yeah. 6 we can go quick. They were in it. They were up by a good amount late in the 4th. They seemed to be. It was like 8. It was about 10. It was about 8. It was about 6. And the whole time I'm sitting there. I'm sitting there going, "There's no way. Like this is not going to be a tight game at the end. There's no way that the Miami Heat aren't going to come back and make this a game." And all of a sudden, Horford fouls Jimmy Butler on this 3, which he wasn't taking the 3, so I don't know why he got 3 shots. But whatever. He gets 3 shots. They're up by 1. There's 3 seconds left. Marcus Smart. This was gonna be a lot more fun to talk about if they were to win Game 7, but we're just breezing through it because nobody cares now. Because now it's gonna be erased in history for what happened. But Marcus Smart shoots the 3. My initial reaction was, "Holy crap! I think that looks good. Like that looks like a good 3." It rims out. I'm immediately devastated. My season's over. I'm on my knees. And then, like Superman, Derek White, out of all people, flies in, tips the ball with 0.1 second left, and wins the game for us. We win by 1. So
It was incredible.
It really was.
It really was. And not to even make things worse, but the whole time, like throughout this series and really the whole playoffs, I guess, is we kept saying how Celtics would never win a close game.
Yep.
Every game that they won was by 10 to 15 points. And I think I remember saying verbatim, like, if they win a close Game 6, they're going to the finals, and they're going to win the finals. If they can learn how to do that.
Well, it's funny.
That take just resurfaced in my head, and I was like, this is trouble.
The thing is, though, when you look back at it, they didn't win a close game. They survived a close game. out
Yeah,
of the skin of
that's
their
fair.
teeth, they survived a close It's not
Wasn't
like
like neck and neck the whole
yeah,
way.
yeah, and it wasn't like Miami was up and they're the team coming back, and that tip in was the
Mm.
final cherry on top. That would have been a different story. This was them almost blowing the game. The whole talk about afterwards was, of course, the Derek White tip, but it was also like these Celtics are gonna like the TNT crew was sitting there like they almost blew it again. They had this sloppy offense at the end of the quarter or at the end of the fourth quarter, and Derek White basically was the savior of Boston. And I mean, that was a great 48 hours. I was feeling good. I wasn't confident going into game 7 because as you could tell, even when we won the 2 games, we had the pod, I wasn't confident in this Celtics team at all. I knew at one point there was going to be one of these games where they couldn't hit threes, and they were just gonna get like there was gonna be one of these games that they just get blown out again, and it just happened to be Game 7, the worst time possible for you to completely collapse.
I think you were the only one who wasn't 100% confident.
No, that was the other thing that was starting to scare me, is that there was all these Celtics like the '04 Red Sox stuff, the just everyone on Boston Celtics Twitter was calling this game done already. And it makes sense.
Mm.
Like in an emotional loss like that for the Heat, you got to think uh you got to think that their confidence is shot. You got to think that they're dead. But I just knew the variance with this Celtics team, and at some point they were going to go back to being terrible. And back to game 6, they shot 7 of 35, 20% from 3. And
Mm.
so they had no business winning that game. They stole it. They stole the game. And they couldn't steal another one. They couldn't get it done. So game 7, 20 seconds into the game, Jason Tatum twists his ankle.
I love that we're starting with this.
There's not what else you want to start with. It's the
No.
first play of the game. Jason Tatum twists his ankle, and he had a bad game. And he stayed out there. He played on it. So I guess it's on him for playing injured. But I gotta think.
I mean, him on a rolled ankle is still better than
Yeah, they're better
anyone
than
else
Grant
that you could've
Williams.
subbed in for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why didn't they did they tape it up at all?
I don't know. It didn't look
He
like he
should have
got any
gone into the
treatment.
locker room
Yeah,
immediately, got stuck with Novocaine, wrap
yeah.
that bad
Where
boy
was
up, and send him back out there.
They should have shipped him off to Germany at halftime. Send him back in. Where was the horse tranquilizer for Jason Tatum?
I don't know.
The
And if we're doing like real parallels to that '04 Red Sox team, Curt Schilling in Game 6 pitched
bloody
an
ankle.
where he had surgery with the blood on the ankle.
Mhm.
Oh, I mean, it's not like on him.
You know,
I can't
actually,
blame
that was the
Tatum at
first
all
time
for
I
this
thought.
game.
No, he deserves zero blame for this game. The rest of the team was all pretty poopy to
Unless he
Yeah.
deliberately hurt his ankles because he was scared.
He was
and
scared of
wanted
the
to have an
lights.
excuse when he didn't have a good game. That's
the
my conspiracy, but I'll have to spend time on that.
I didn't even think about them not doing anything to the ankle. I just figured adrenaline. You keep him out there. You're right. Where's the LeBron gets a shot in the ass in the locker room, comes back out there like a superhero? Remember what was it? Wasn't it last year where he gets like the shoulder contusion and he goes out and he's in the locker room, and then it's the fourth quarter and he runs back out. He saves the game for him. Marcus Smart did the same thing. Where was that? You're right. They benched him early in the first, which they never do.
That makes
And
it worse too.
just hit him
Sit
sitting
and
on the
let it swell.
Yeah, they basically let all the adrenaline go away.
Yeah.
But first half, he was still trying to beat Tatum, but in that second half, I mean, he couldn't move out there. The broadcast was saying it, and you could tell. Like, he couldn't go side to side, even on defense. So that's how we start the game. Bad vibes. Bad vibes all around. And then they actually play, and it just gets worse. It's just way worse. The flip-flop of this Celtics team, where if they start out hot, if they hit their first 2 threes, they're fine. But if they clank them, they are screwed. Absolutely screwed. And to the degree where they just don't have any other options. They're like, crap, we can't hit threes today. Like, I don't know what to do. I have no idea what to do. And there's veterans who have been playing. Like, this is the same team that went to the finals last year. It's the same. These teams, like these players have been playing together for, you know, 5-6 years now, and they have no clue what to do when those 3-pointers aren't hitting. And Malcolm Brogdon was out there early because Tatum got hurt, and I thought, just like, he's injured. I thought that was a big mistake. I don't know why he was out there for so long, because he couldn't do anything, and it just added on to the bad momentum coming on.
Just have the box score pulled up, and Brogdon in 7 minutes, the Celtics were minus 15.
In Brogdon's minutes?
Like, that's hard to believe.
Yeah. No, he was awful out
almost
there. He missed a
impressive.
layup. He bricked a 3. He couldn't do anything. So, man, they finished the game 21% from 3, 39% from the field. They looked clueless out there. They didn't look like they had no idea what to do. Jaylen Brown, I told you by the end of the series someone was going to China, and we're doing a whole segment on that later. But this was his China game. He got shipped to Shanghai.
This was his audition.
Yes.
For Guangdong.
Yes.
When they put up that he had 15 points in the fourth quarter at one point, I was like in shock. Maybe it's because like I wasn't paying attention that much in the first half. That's where he got all his points, but it felt like he was complete non-factor. Like he wasn't even on the court.
He sucked.
It was
Sucked.
so bad.
He was awful.
Really bad. 8 turnovers.
It felt like
some
40.
of them, like
it felt like 40.
Last one wasn't even a steal. We joke about him not being able to dribble. It's not like there's truth in every joke. That dude literally cannot dribble.
He can't dribble.
Just fell out of his hands.
That was probably 5 of the turnovers. Like, in all seriousness, they just kept, like, you know the quote, it's like insanity is just doing the same thing over and over again and thinking it's the same result. All of the Boston Celtics are insane. They're all insane. They have like they just kept, let's see if we can drive into the zone again. Do you think if we drive into the zone this time, it'll work? They've been playing the zone for 7 games now. How can they not figure out the zone?
Well, the way to beat the zone is hit your jump shots.
And they couldn't. They couldn't hit.
That's the sad truth. Because
and they
when
let
you attack the zone collapses on you, and then guys are open outside. It's very simple to beat if you shoot well. Because then they have to switch up their defense because they're always open for 3.
There was also, though, like, many moments where it's because I guess Miami just didn't let Brown or Tatum get any of those open threes. It was always Horford or Grant Williams.
Brown took 9 threes.
Yeah.
How many of them were open, though?
No, none of them. Almost none of them were open. There was a moment in the game, so later in the game, Derek White cuts it to 7 basically by himself. He cuts the score to 7.
This was in the third quarter.
Yes.
Mid-third.
He realizes that he can just drive into them and they don't know what to do. And it works. He's passing out. He's getting the ball back. He's getting layups. He's getting foul calls. And all of a sudden, they're down by 7. I'm sure Caleb Martin hits some 3 to make it 10. And
that's exactly what happened.
Yes. Yeah. And Jaylen Brown comes up, and there's about 14, 15 seconds left on the shot clock, and just shoots a contested 3. It doesn't, like, he just kills. He is a momentum
Not the only
killer.
possession that happened.
No, it wasn't.
There's multiple sequences in which he'll just have the ball at the top of the 3-point line, and he'll, like, look around for a second, and then he'll just hoist up a 3 with 12 seconds on the shot.
That's the best part, and it's happened in multiple games, too. The best part about it, too, is he'll look to pretend like he's going to pass it.
Is
like,
anyone open? Nah, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anyone's open. Let's just chuck a 3. Like,
You can't put the ball on the floor.
if
Be automatic turnover.
if he did that in, like, a pickup. He would be kicked out of the pickup game at the like. People would not want to play with him on fives. He'd be like, "Yo, can anyone want to run another?" And they'd be like, "Sorry, Jalen. Like we don't want to play with you. You don't pass, you can't dribble, and you just drive into the hoop and kick and lose the ball every time."
Some of his like attempts when he actually can penetrate are quite the scene. Doesn't look like he never looks controlled when he gets to the basket.
No, it's
Granted, sometimes they do go in, but
no, and the ones that go in, you're
Pretty.
always like, I'm always just like, whew. Like, man, we survived that Jalen Brown possession. He's I'm the most torn on. Cause see, there's actually a decision coming up. Do we pay him $50 million a year to dribble into the other team and lose the basketball? I don't know what to do.
He's also all NBA.
Okay, this year he was all NBA. A bunch of forwards got injured. And he's a great regular season player. He's probably a top 25, 20 guy in the league. But he can't dribble.
Is it because the defense isn't as intense? I think that's why.
Well, I don't know.
That's the only thing that I can think of.
I don't know.
Like,
the Warriors did this
even
last
if you're
year.
Soft, like you don't just forget how to dribble. Like,
Yeah, I think just like
issue.
once like the defensive pressure gets up and teams realize in the like in a 7-game series, like they play him 3 times, they're like, oh, this guy can't dribble. They probably just attack him and hone in on it. But I don't know. I'm gonna switch it up to the Heat side real quick, just because I want to just settle down on the Celtics. The fire that's building within me. Caleb Martin was Michael Jordan last night. He was insane. Every shot.
It was pretty shocking.
Every
knew the
single
ball
shot.
was going in.
Yeah.
Get the ball was like 6 seconds on the shot clock, and he backed someone down. And you're like, fadeaway swish.
No, and
Easy.
it would be like the fadeaway. You're like, he's like half sideways. You know, the ball is like coming out. There's a hand right in front of the ball, and I'm like, it's going in. Doesn't matter. It's gonna go in. And it happened every time. Jimmy Butler, I mean, he had some killer shots, a bunch of 3 threes that came out of nowhere where, because he's not that good of a 3-point shooter. And all of a sudden, he's just banging threes in our face whenever we have momentum. I mean, Strus didn't do too much. Gabe Vincent didn't do too much. It was really those 2 guys that really were keeping this team alive. And every time...
Bam was awful.
Bam sucked. Bam was good. You know what he was good at? Getting illegal screens. I'll tell you that. He was great at getting illegal screens. And
looking at the box score and seeing he only has 3 fouls is very surprising.
I'm just glad that hopefully Reggie Miller, hopefully he never has a job again. Like commutating. He is the worst color guard. Him and Van Gundy are like the dynamic duo for the worst announcers I've ever listened to in my life.
He is bad.
Reggie, at one point, at the beginning of the game, it's a Bam Adebayo illegal screen that they don't call. And he's like, just look at that perfect screen. And it's like, they do the replay, and he's like moving. You could see him move. And you're like, Reggie, that is a legal screen. You should know that. And then later in the game, they finally I think they call like 1 illegal screen on Bam Adebayo. And Reggie Miller just like, you can't do that in this league. That's a legal screen. It's like, Reggie, you are an absolute idiot. Him and Van Gundy were Dumb and Dumber on this whole series. Not just this game, this whole series. And within 3 seconds of the game, after Tatum injured his foot, I already wanted to mute the TV. I was like, please just shut. Just please be quiet. Lowry sucked. He had some good rebounds. He had a killer 3 as well. They played drop coverage again with Horford on these pick and rolls, where I don't know if we talked about this specifically last year in the finals, but they did the same goddamn thing with Steph Curry. So you have every 3-point shooter was
just old, man.
He is. I think
can't get out.
No, every time he had the ball, he was in the Jaylen Brown school of I might lose it immediately.
Those quick release threes, he always looks so goofy.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, last year they were going in, so it's like, wow, like, look at how he's so unorthodox, but he's hitting shots. But when they're not going in, it's like...
Yeah, it's
This
he.
guy off the floor.
No, it's bad. Smart had a terrible game. Derek White was literally at some point it seemed like the only one who cared, besides Tatum, who was
Yeah,
hobbling
but
around
it
on
was
one
Derek
foot.
White. It was like 5 minutes where he was good, and then he was just forcing threes, and none of them were going in.
He did. I gotta admit, he was forcing a lot of threes because he felt himself getting those layups, and
Hmm.
he got one or two threes,
He was good cutting to the basket.
but they gave up on it, and he tried to get the other people involved. Grant Williams is a dud. He's a nothing. Robert Williams, I was getting ready to complain in here about how he only played 14 minutes, but
He's
apparently
vomiting.
I was gonna say apparently he was throwing up during the game, so I guess he gets a pass.
Again, though, like game 7.
You know, throw up, get a sip of water, get back
Though,
out
and
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
should have a trash can on the sideline.
Yeah, why is he going to the
He
locker
needs
room
to
to throw up?
just take himself out of the game real quick, or just slide the trash can out. He can throw up on the floor,
Perfect.
throw up in the trash can. That's like
Yeah,
just stuck
then
out
go back
for
on
him.
defense.
Yeah, just hop right back in.
The bitching to
No,
the
athletes are
refs.
humans too, but it's fun to pretend like they're not.
Yeah.
Just not put ourselves in that position whatsoever.
Yeah, we'd be like our tummy hurts. I can't play. You
Yeah,
know the case.
our job isn't to like sympathize with them. It's to rip them new ones when they don't play well in game 7.
So it was just like a perfect storm of just garbage. It was a perfect garbage storm. And besides the times that Derek White got us back in the game, there wasn't much hope either. There wasn't much like, oh, we'll figure this out, guys. Like the second we were down 10, I looked at my dad in the first quarter. I was like, yeah, like we're losing this. Like it's over. I'm pretty sure I tweeted out in the middle of the second quarter, game's
This is
done.
my
Good night.
nightmare.
No, game's over.
Oh,
Good
it's
night.
because there was a "this is my nightmare" at some point.
That was, I think
Forget when that was.
it was either fourth or at the end of the game, one of the two. It just, it went back to the first 3 games. It was the same thing that screwed them in those games. The Heat just hit every shot, and the Celtics couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. And
There were parts of the game where Miami could not score points
I know,
for a decent chunk in the third
I
quarter.
know.
They
That was
were
the White
cold as
moment.
ice.
Derek White
Yes.
scored like 7 points, and the Miami Heat scored 0.
Every possession would be like Butler dribbles for 10 seconds, and then like Cam gets the ball, throws some errant pass, and then they don't even get a shot off, or they get a last
Basically-
second shot that clanks. And it was like good 5 or 6 minutes. Where they probably
Basically,
scored
if
4
Bam had
points.
the ball, we were good. Bam was terrible. If Bam had the ball, I was fine with it. I didn't think none of his shots were going. Like even when he was like right next to the hoop, I was like, oh, it's gonna clank off the backside. Like it'll be fine. And it was just, I mean, there was some weird things with the refs. I'm not gonna complain about too much because it's not on them. But there was some weird momentum things where like Tatum had to travel. Derek White during his stint had an and one, and it would have cut the lead down to
Got
4,
called for a walk too.
and they called it a walk. And I didn't
He
know,
did walk.
was it? I don't know. I was
He like tapped he did a little stutter step when he was under the basket. Barely. But he ran back right away.
it's just annoying. But so this team,
Got called for an offensive foul too, I think.
Jaylen Brown got
That's
called for like
correct.
5 of them. He's the biggest loser of this game.
He is the biggest loser, but yeah, he had 5 fouls. Holy shit.
No, he was
5
awful.
fouls and 8 turnovers.
He was terrible.
Was really bad.
Terrible. And none of it, like even, I know he scored 19 points. I'd have to look back at his shots. I didn't think any of them were going. Yeah, I don't think any of them were going in.
I can picture like one weird layup that he had, maybe another layup, a few free throws. Like
I'm looking.
I just
I clicked on his name and I'm looking at the quotes on Celtics on NBC, like it's quotes on Twitter. It's Jason Tatum saying it's important for him to get his contract up. It's him saying, I failed, we failed, let the whole city down. And then it's some mock thing that says, Jaylen Brown, don't let us win game 8.
Yeah, I saw.
And so all right, let's just do that now. Where they go now. And Jaylen Brown, because we'll get into the finals preview and we'll give the Heat all their credit. But now the Celtics have a decision. Do they pay Jaylen Brown $50 million a year? And then Tatum the next year, $50 million a year. I love rooting for Jaylen Brown. I've loved this whole time rooting for him. But we were just in 3-4 different conference finals with him. We were in a finals with him. Is what I'm asking. I know they're like Tatum's was young. Starting next year, I'm tired of that excuse. This is the last year of using the 25 years old excuse. But Jaylen Brown is who he is. He's 26, going to be 27. Is this the ceiling for this team to make it to the conference finals or the finals and lose because you get figured out offensively because he can't fucking dribble?
So I'm kind of torn on this too because we have ripped him this whole podcast and watching the game, and
deservingly so.
Right, and that's the point. Like, deservingly so. He's been horrendous in the playoffs. A guy who was all NBA. But the other side of me, like the cooler heads will prevail side, is like a very hard thing to do as a sports fan is accept that it's hard to go win a title.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have the pieces in place that you've made a run with, like, don't know what the grass on the other side is going to look like.
That's what I'm worried about.
If you get rid of him, do you actually get better? Or do you just end up nuking the whole thing and then you don't have that core in place that's been to a finals, has been to, what, like 4 Eastern Conference finals?
Yeah.
This is a team that's good enough to get there. There's no question about that. And when people say, like, this team has hit their peak, they're never going to win the finals together, I think that's a ridiculous thing to say. They've been this dominant. But like the day after a completely heartbreaking season in which they wildly underperformed as the favorite, it's easy to say, get rid of Brown. He was terrible. But like if you get rid of him, you don't get there in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to do, to just accept that, like, you don't want to take the risk of moving on from him because we know that we're going to get there, and then once you get in the playoffs, like, who knows, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Eventually it'll be your year.
Yeah.
But then you look at a team like the 76ers and like, well, it's kind of what they're doing, and they do lose every year.
Here's where I'm at with this, because as you just pointed out, you're right. It's hard to do these things, to go to the Eastern Conference, to play in May and early June. Just for a team to play at this time is hard. So if we trade them, we have to guarantee that we're going to be able to do this again, and not by year 5, by next year, because we were just there. We were just there the year before. And
yeah, there's no rebuilding. If you have to rebuild it all, that's a failure.
Yeah.
And that's a mistake.
I agree with that. I don't know. It's, and I think it's also, like, people need to realize, like, some teams, I'm looking at a documentary previews for everything but the chip. The 76ers going to the finals. They earn themselves a documentary because they're a delusional fan base and delusional franchise.
Oh, that's because of Iverson.
Yeah, that's delusional too. Like, great, you made it to what? Great, you made it to 1 NBA Finals. You deserve
it's about like, who doesn't want to see a documentary about Iverson?
All right. Anyways,
just a hater for that.
That is the funniest.
I get your point though.
Like, so what I'm trying to say is,
I'm taking.
Is
pretty brutal.
Yeah, it is pretty brutal. But I think me and other Boston Celtics fans, who, and more so the ones who are demanding that he's gone, and want him gone and need big changes now are, and they're not even spoiled like with championships because we've won one since 2008 and one since like 1986. But they're spoiled that we made it to 4 Eastern Conference Finals. You can nitpick this Boston Celtics team the past 4 years because we were on the biggest stage, or the second biggest stage, the past 4 years. It's easy to get out the microscope when we're playing in May and there's 4 other teams playing.
Yeah.
So
That's the thing. You're better than, what is it? Like
Nah.
27 of the other teams?
Yeah.
28?
Pretty much. So I think, and that's the same thing with this. I think with this Lakers team too, that just got swept by the. And I know they got swept, but it's like you guys don't need to like blow everything up. You're kind of good. You're kind of in the Western Conference
Yeah.
Finals.
The Lakers, like, their issues are with some of the role play. Like, Russell, it's like he has to go. It's like the other guys, you got to figure out who to keep. The Celtics' issue is with their superstar. Of their superstars, at least.
And
which is what makes it so hard. Because
and
is he worth a supermax? Probably not.
But is he worth losing? Definitely not. Depending on what you get, I guess, if you trade him. But I also think the problem is when the Celtics are bad, the superstar, both of them, both Jason and Jalen, are bad, are really bad. And I think
one of them can carry them to win on any given night.
Yeah, and I think there was stints in that, like the Game 7, if we look at the box score, Game 7, literally 2 weeks ago, you know who had a great game? Malcolm Brogdon. And it wasn't, it wasn't 51 or it wasn't, but he had a great game shooting. He had a bunch of threes, controlled the offense. And the whole season, he was on the bench. And when Jason and Jalen were out and the rest of the team couldn't figure out any offense, they just threw him out there and he figured out the offense. So
6th man of the year.
Yeah, exactly. So having him be a literally unplayable, as in where I'm tweeting out in the middle games of this series, bench him please, because of this injury that I later learned about, but he was just bad. He was a non-factor. And that hurts. When there's no, like, if Jason and Jalen aren't hitting, basically what I'm getting at, if Jason and Jalen aren't hitting the three, I feel like there's no other confidence to these role players besides if Brogdon's fully healthy. And the other role players,
White on like select nights.
Yeah, and White for this stint and White for at moments. But like if they're not hitting anything, Smart's really not doing nothing. Horford's not really doing anything. Grant Williams not doing anything. And other than like that, those were the 3 guys that didn't help you at all. The Celtics didn't. I know Jimmy Butler had a good last game and he had a good couple games that they won earlier in the series, but they mainly lost to Caleb Martin, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent. They lost to those guys. And it seems like, and I know Miami has a bunch, they didn't even have Hero, they didn't have Oladipo. So I guess saying that the Celtics needed a bigger bench is pretty lame excuse. But I think if you come in next year with a healthier team, these guys again, maybe you trade Grant. I mean, no, you definitely get rid of Grant Williams. He's gone. Trade these bench pieces for something else. I don't know. Maybe you could figure out how to, because as we were just talked about, maybe upgrade the Horford spot. Maybe he retires. I think it's maybe his time to go. But there's a scenario where you have Jason and Jalen, and you're back here next year facing the Bucks, the Heat, whoever the hell is in the Eastern Conference Finals for another trip at the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I mean, I think there.
Yeah, I'm there.
It's frozen. Okay,
no,
sorry.
I'm just sitting here waiting for your response. I'm not frozen. I just kind of had like a brain dump of all my Celtics stuff, and then I just wanted you to come.
Well, I was gonna say that I think I saw your tweet this morning which I think you summed it up pretty well. Um, you do want Brown back, upgrade the Grant Williams spot, and Horford, another bench piece. So that's basically everything you just said in Spark Notes version.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Injuries in the playoffs happen. Every team. And part of winning a championship is dealing with that. But you have to be in a place where you have guys who you're comfortable stepping into real roles. And that's kind of where it felt like the Celtics were lacking. When you had, like, when Brogdon was unplayable, like, who was coming in and picking up those minutes?
No one.
It was just like the stars were getting more minutes. And when they weren't playing well, that just made things worse.
Yeah, there needed to be, if Brown, like, and this was the cool thing about Ime, was he would pull, like, if Brown had, like, 5 turnovers, he'd be like, you're on the bench, buddy. Like, I don't care how much we're paying you. I don't care if you're the star or whatever. If you're shooting these terrible threes and you're doing these terrible turnovers, you're gone. He would bench Marcus Smart, which Joe Mazzulla would never do. And we would have some guys to fill in those roles. Like, if Jalen were to get benched earlier in this game, there would literally be no, like, you put in Hauser, you putting in Grant Williams.
She did throw Hauser in there.
They did, yeah. No, they tried it, and they tried Peyton Pritchard for an extra 2 minutes than normal. They couldn't figure out where else to go, and it seems like, funny enough, one of the deepest teams in the league, and we were talking about how much depth they have over a bunch of other teams. It seemed like they ran out of options and ran out of stuff to do.
I mean, the bench shrinks in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like
and
the Heat, like, we're talking about guys that you can go to. Heat pulled Haywood Highsmith out of their ass and threw him out there.
Yeah,
and
it worked.
Like, decent minutes. We're talking about, like, on the podcast, we're like, who is this guy? Where did he come from?
Well, and we've been talking about the Nuggets. They know their 7 guys. Like, the Celtics did not know their 7 guys. They kept I mentioned it multiple times. They kept starting White. They kept then Robert Williams and then White again, and they didn't have a stable, like, when this happens, we're gonna throw in this guy. When this happens, we're gonna throw in this guy, and it just ran out of steam. I don't know. The coach, I'm up in the air for. Jaylen Brown, I know I want back. And the coach, it seemed like he saved his job. He came back down 0-3. They made it at least to a game 7. But again, it just, after the threes didn't work this game, no adjustments whatsoever. Just keep trying the same thing and seeing if it sticks, and it doesn't ever stick.
I'm sure you didn't watch the game show, but no. Shaq was saying that if he was on the sidelines after they went, like, 2 of 20 or whatever it was from 3, that they called a timeout and just said, no more threes. Like, no one's allowed to shoot.
Yeah.
If someone takes a 3, I'm stepping on the court and punching them in the face.
No, Joe Mazzulla.
Just stop taking them.
The post-game interview, somebody asked him, do you think the team was a little too reliant on threes? And are you going to make changes to that next season? And he just responded, no.
Oh, his press conferences are great.
I do
trying
like
to be like Belichick.
Yeah, I do like how he says nothing. I gotta admit.
Yeah.
But you can't say nothing and also be a doofus on the court.
Right.
You got you can't
when you
be
say
both.
nothing and don't know what you're doing.
It just looks like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, right. When there actually is, like, there's a difference between not wanting to offer an explanation and having no explanation. And, like, we don't know what's in his mind, but when you look as clueless as he does and then you give no explanation, it looks like you got nothing.
Yeah.
You're just, like, throwing him out there. Like, all right, boys.
It really does.
Let's get those shots down.
That kind of seems like what the game plan was. Let's go out. Excuse me. Let's go out there and shoot threes and hope they go in. And they didn't go in, and then there was nothing else they could do. I think, look, if Brown wants, the other thing with Brown, just to wrap it up, is that he's got to want to be here. All these quotes and...
I think if he gets paid, he wants to be here.
Yeah, that's great, but I want him to be here. I don't want him to be here because of the money. I want him to be here because he wants to win a goddamn championship. And I don't care if he likes Boston or not. I just want him to be here because he wants to win a chip. Like, I don't care if he doesn't give a rat's ass about the city. I just want him
I
to
hate
want
that
to
that's
win.
something that we have to like discuss.
What, that he
Whether or
wants
not
to be
he
here?
like really wants to win the championship.
Oh, yeah. And I think he does. Like, I do think of course he wants to win a championship. But it's just been so weird this whole season. And we've been talking about it all season with his quotes.
How many times have we done this with a player where throughout the whole season it's like, oh, like this is last year, he's up for an extension, we don't know what's gonna happen. Like, he has these mysterious press conferences, and then he signs a contract, and all is peachy keen. Right?
Well, no, but
We did this last year with Aaron Judge.
yeah, we did.
Judge kept saying weird stuff in press conferences about New York.
Baseball's
Like, he
different,
has this
though.
good season. They tank in the playoffs. And he gets this big contract, and he's having a great year again.
The thing is, I feel like we're at a new point in the NBA. Like, he could sign that contract tomorrow, and then 2 months later be like, nah, never mind. Like, I still want to get traded. Like, find me a new home.
I guess, yeah, the NBA
Like
is
Kevin
a
Durant
lot
did the
different
same
in that
thing. So
sense.
I don't know.
Simmons,
Yeah,
Eaton.
Simmons. I think
Eaton doesn't want to be traded, but he just sucks.
if I were to be a predictor, now we're predicting, I would say we sign Jaylen Brown. We honestly do hopefully all the things that I said on that Twitter post. We try to upgrade hitter, Horford, Williams, get another bench piece. And then after a year or so, if this cryptic Jaylen Brown shit keeps happening, then we flip him for someone else. And I think that's what you have to do if you're the front office. I don't think, like, the Blazers, I see these things. We can either get Dame Lillard, or we can get all their young players in the third pick. What do I want the third pick for?
Yeah.
I want
You're
to.
not in that position.
No, I want to win titles now.
You did like get the young
Yeah.
guys and build. You did that already.
Exactly.
You're well past that point.
If
you could do it for Lillard, I would do it in a heartbeat.
You think so?
Brown for yes.
Yeah, I know.
In the defense, like, it's a defensive downgrade.
But then what do you do with Smart?
Who cares?
That's true.
Literally, who cares?
I was actually just about to say next, like, do you think Smart is on this team next year?
Probably. They need like a real point guard, though. Like, Brogdon is kind of that. He's not, like, he comes off the bench.
The thing with Brogdon and White
as a point guard.
And they also with White, Smart, Jaylen Brown, Brogdon, all these guys, none of them are like, man, that is a reliable 3-point shooter. You know, like, Smart will have some games where
Grant Williams is stroking it. He looks good.
Yeah, but that's it, and that's only if he hits like the first one. If he doesn't hit the first one, he's screwed. Hauser was supposed to be that guy. They couldn't see him on the floor.
What about Nesmith?
No, Nesmith he's in Indiana. He's out of here. He was supposed to be that guy.
I saw his name this morning, and I just thought of that. I was like, oh yeah, forgot about Nesmith. Pretty jacked about Nesmith.
Besides Tatum, I don't trust any of these guys 3-point shooting. And
you had somebody off the bench who was hurt, right? One of the white guys.
Gallinari?
Yeah.
He didn't play all year. He would have been perfect for this game. Tatum gets injured early. Oh, so he can create his offense, do what he needs to do. He would have been perfect for this whole year. He would have been awesome off the bench. And sadly, he couldn't play. But
you need a guy like that.
For a team so reliant on 3-point shooting, it's weird that I can't point to one guy that I love when he shoots the ball. It's always like, it's like a freaking heart attack.
There's many more that you like are not happy.
Oh yeah, there's so many more where you're like, what are they doing?
Smart is the poster boy of why?
Yes, and there's sometimes where it'll be no, yes, but that's
right.
That only happens once in a blue moon.
Those do not outweigh the oh my god, what are you doing, dude?
And Brown was like that this past series. Every shot, it was just like, what the hell are you doing? And if it went in, you were like, you were almost mad that it went in. You were just like, I'm glad. You're like, I'm
Just
glad it
'cause
went
like
in.
encourages that
Yeah.
behavior.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm glad it went in, but like, don't do that again. And there he is doing it
Yeah, right.
9 more times. All right. Let's preview the finals. I'm done with this. First game, Thursday. We have the Nuggets, the number 1 seed Nuggets, versus the 8th seed Miami Heat. Now that we have it set up, now that we have it officially out there, before we start our conversations, Chris, we've been waiting on a prediction. What do you got?
I mean, I'm not going to go against the heavy favorites, which is
Okay.
obviously the Nuggets.
How many games?
I'm going to say 6. Give the Heat. I feel like the Heat are not getting enough respect going into this series. Which is weird because you would think the team that we haven't seen in a little bit is the one that people are forgetting about, but I guess just because what we have seen of the Heat outside of Game 7 has been really bad last few games. And what we last saw of the Nuggets was dominating the Lakers.
Yeah.
So I guess that makes sense. I wouldn't be shocked if Miami comes in and steals Game 1. I love that. The Miami on the road in Game 1. Although the Nuggets haven't played in like 9 days. They're fully rested. I could see them like rolling them the first 2. Denver, Miami winning there 2 at home, and then it's taking care of business the next 2.
I like that. So my dad was we were sitting here yesterday. We were talking. He's like, man, now I hope Miami wins the championship because they beat us. And he's like, if we're gonna lose, we might as well lose to the best team in the league. It's like, yeah, that's a fair point. But I also hate every single player.
You went 7 games hating them.
Yeah,
it's too many games to root for them.
It is almost too many games. And so we're starting out Game 1. The Miami Heat, they're in a similar position like they were against the Boston Celtics. They are 8.5 point underdogs. I definitely think they keep it close Game 1. Throw some haymakers out there Game 1. I almost like the stealing Game 1. This is the ultimate.
The Nuggets also might come out on fire, though.
Well, it's one of the best arguments in sports. Rust versus rust. Yeah. So we'll have to see who prevails, rust or rest. But I don't know. It seems like the Heat. They seem like they know what they're doing, and maybe it's because I've been watching the Heat more closely and paying definitely more attention to the Heat. But I also think the Nuggets are just a masterclass, and they're gonna those Bam Adebayo bad minutes are gonna be a lot worse against a team who actually knows
the best center in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's gonna pick them apart, and that zone, they're not gonna be able to play zone. That zone is gonna get torched. He's gonna get absolutely torched.
You know how you're like the Celtics don't have reliable 3-point shooters. The Nuggets
they only have reliable.
Their 5 stars.
Yeah, they only have reliable
3-point shooters.
The only one that's not is Aaron Gordon. Everyone else is a reliable 3-point shooter.
Yep.
That's that's what I'm talking about.
They're always open.
There's no Caldwell Pope on the Celtics. There's no of course there's no MPJ. There's barely any MPJs in the league. But even looking at the Lakers, there's no
Reeves.
Yeah, there's no Reeves or Rui Hachimura. And I guess they didn't have that.
Rui is not a reliable 3-point
I'm just messing with you. And I guess honestly the Lakers didn't have very many reliable 3-point shooters either. You can't trust Schroeder. You had Reeves and that's about it. But the Nuggets have a full team of them. Michael Porter Jr. will always find his shot. Even Bruce Brown off the bench. Jeff Green too. I know hasn't been great, but I wouldn't leave him open. And I guess Aaron Gordon would be the only one that you could possibly leave open. But we've seen him hit threes. And
shows up every once in a while.
Yeah.
He's there for defense.
He's there for defense and dunking. That's about it. And
so cool when he dunks.
The Heat are gonna have to really. It's gonna be it's Spoelstra versus Jokic almost, because it's like the minds of those two at least, because he's gonna have to
Give
find
Michael
a way.
Malone some credit.
That's true. I'll give him some credit.
Did a
He
nice
took
job.
yeah, he has done a nice job. But in the sense of Spoelstra's gonna have to find a way to position these players in a way where Jokic is not gonna tear them apart. And we'll see early on in game
Which might
one.
be impossible.
It might be impossible. And it's funny though, if they don't keep it close in game one, it's just like I just feel like it's gonna be a sweep right away.
It could be.
It could be easily
Because
be
the
a
other
sweep.
thing, it could be like the Heat are so out of gas and Butler's out of gas. I just never want to like
Bet against Butler.
bet the Butler like, oh, like you might be tired. You tired, Jimmy? Out of gas? And he comes out and drops like 45.
Jimmy's only like tired if he wants to be tired. If he allows it to be tired. Like if he's like, all right, I can take the next 20 minutes of the game and I'll be tired, and then save it for the next last 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah. And they get like the finals, the rest days stretch out a little bit, which benefits the Heat. Have 2 full days before they have to go to Denver.
Yeah.
And you get like 2 days off in between every game, which is ridiculous.
That is, man, this goes from June 1st to, if it goes to game 7, June 18th. That's wild.
Yeah. A long.
That is
It's
a
like
long
3
time.
weeks.
The other thing is, if Jimmy, so they give him the Eastern Conference trophy. I saw it this morning because I did not watch the celebration. They give him the Finals MVP, which is bullshit. They should have given it to Caleb Martin. I don't know if you disagree or not. They definitely should have given that Eastern Conference.
I have to look at the numbers.
I don't care about no numbers. Caleb Martin was hitting everything and was sealing the game in multiple different games. It felt like, at least.
You know, they really like. Are they really gonna win and not give it to Jimmy Butler?
Oh, so it's a popularity contest now. Like, this is ridiculous. The best player on the court. Yeah, the best player on the court should get it. But
I mean, all right. Butler was averaging 24 and 7 and 6.
All right, fine.
The series.
I was more scared of Caleb Martin.
Martin was averaging 19, 6 and 1. So
right.
in every statistical category.
All right, whatever. Anyways,
not to take away from Martin, but that
where was I getting here? Oh, he gets the trophy and he goes, "Nah, I'm gonna hold the next one." So, and I know they've been here before and lost in the bubble, so it's not like, oh, once Jimmy gets to the finals, there's no one stopping him. But there is a little part of me that's like, shit, can they win this? Can they?
I will say at plus 330, it's great odds. It seems like everyone has written them off.
You know what's funny? Plus 330, you could just get this game 1 plus 295.
I mean,
like, I feel like if you think they're gonna win the series, you should probably steal game 1, right?
Yes, yeah.
I guess it. I mean, who knows? Who knows? But I was saying,
at some point they'd have to win in Denver.
Yeah, which hasn't happened yet. So that'll be interesting to see if it ever does. But so there's two. I think if it goes longer, goes 6 or 7, I'm giving a better chances to the Heat. But if it's game 4, like if they're down 0-3, they're not coming back like the Celtics. They're losing.
They will get buried.
Yeah.
I think Jokic MVP is an easy bet there.
Yeah, I could see that.
Murray was getting like 32 a game, and Jokic still win.
Yeah, he just does so much more than Murray does, and Murray's the scorer, but Jokic can score when both. It's interesting to see two guys going up against each other that seems like they could score at any moment of any time of the game. Like Jimmy Butler and Jokic both. It seems like if they wanted to in the possession, could score at any time. So it'll be cool to see them match up and see. I mean, I'm sure they won't be going head to head very often, but to see who can try to stop Murray, let's see if Caleb Martin can keep this up. I mean, he averaged 9 points this year, earned himself a big payday in the Eastern Conference Finals. But
seriously,
let's see if he turns into a pumpkin when the clock strikes midnight.
Smack Biombo.
Yeah. The Hornets. It's funny.
A
The
compliment.
Hornets gave him up. They waved him away, and now watch them be the team. Oh, let's
I
bring him
love the
home
people
for
like
$25
blaming
million.
Michael Jordan for that.
Oh, I know.
Like, oh, like Michael Jordan's worst move, waving Caleb Martin. It's like, who could have possibly known that? And also, it probably wasn't his decision.
He probably
Whatever.
wouldn't have been as good on the Charlotte Hornets. I'm gonna just
Probably, he would
probably
not
wouldn't
have
have
been
been as
playing in the Eastern Conference Finals if he was
No.
on the Hornets.
No, not at all. All right. I just want to see the first game first before we discuss any more. You got anything else?
Okay. A bet that I saw on FanDuel, Jokic is plus 110 to be the top scorer in the series.
Plus 110.
I like, yeah.
What's Murray's? You know?
I was like plus 230.
I kind of like that.
Really?
Yeah, that's got my. I like both of those. Both the fact that Jokic is plus money is great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, I think I'm gonna go a final prediction. I'm going Nuggets in 5.
I get that.
All right,
Stick with my 6 though.
are we going across the seas? Is it time?
Let's do it.
So we were gonna do a top 5 this week, but we mentioned. But we mentioned last episode that everyone gets sent to China after playoff series, and we decided to make, and we were talking about how we're gonna make an all-star team for China. So I am the Shanghai Sharks, Chris is the Guangdong Tigers, and we are doing a draft of NBA players in place of our top 5 this week. So we're gonna do each position, starting point
We're gonna
guard.
go position by position or draft and just make sure you fill all the positions.
Oh, okay. Let's do that.
It should be the draft, right?
Yeah. Let's do the draft.
Just best available. Okay.
Yeah. So for the first pick, the 2023 Chinese draft, I'm gonna give it up to the Guangdong Tigers. You won the lottery.
Oh man, I had 2 and I don't know which one.
Uh-oh. That's perfect. I'm glad I gave it to you then.
This is a tough one.
Are they
Alright,
both
I'm gonna
Sixers?
I'm
Are they
gonna-
both Sixers?
Oh, I'm gonna go with the one who's proven over the last few years that he deserves this, and that's Mr. Ben Simmons.
Oh, the number 1 pick.
He's
Congratulations.
gotta be. I don't know where to put if I should put him at small forward or point guard though. That's where I'm struggling.
Or power forward. I mean, you really could put him anywhere,
think
depending on what your team needs.
I don't know. I'm gonna wait to assign a position because I don't know what you're gonna pick.
Oh, that
Can
seems
I
like
do that?
cheating. Nah, it seems like cheating.
How? I take my guys and then I assign him.
All right, that's fair. Just because I
to
guess
fill the
he's a
position.
versatile positioner. All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Uh,
He's got to be number 1, right? Like
Yeah.
this is the dude. I feel like that almost started the meme.
yes. Let's look at his numbers. Regular season numbers. He had 6.9 points per game on 26 minutes. Wait, so how many games was it?
That's what I'm asking. How many
Oh,
games
okay.
did
You're
he
asking.
play?
You're asking. Games played 42 out of the 82. Minutes played 23. Had a decent field goal percentage and averaged a triple double of
He doesn't
sixes.
shoot jump shots.
A triple sixes. That's what he averaged. He is literally the devil. Triple sixes. 6.9 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 6.1 assists. You're right. He started it all. He is the definition. When you think of the I think when you look up Guangdong Tigers and Shanghai Sharks, there are Photoshop edits of both of them. Both of Ben Simmons in there, and yeah, that's a great pick, Chris. It's a great number 1 pick.
I saw a highlight reel of Simmons like when he was on the Sixers, actually making good plays, and it made me sad. Because he's so incredibly athletic and such a gifted basketball player.
He was getting compared to
Disaster of a career.
also 3-point percentage 0. Didn't shoot. Didn't make any shoot. He was supposed to be like the next
43% from
LeBron,
the line.
the next LeBron James. That's what people were comparing him to. Early in his career, he was compared to the next king. Even LeBron was in on him. Called him a prince. What a wasted career.
Sad.
Welcome to the Guangdong Tigers. Ben Simmons, #1 pick. All right. Well, gives me pristine opportunity to pick one of my two favorite Sixers. And I think I got to go. This one is more deserving of the Shanghai Sharks. And he's won an MVP. He's won the scoring title. He's going to have a great year in Shanghai. James Harden, welcome to the Sharks.
Okay. I still couldn't tell because both of them are like identical.
Yeah. Both could have got in there.
He's got a better resume though.
Yes, he does. Past 3 games, 9 points, 13 points, 17 points. 2 of them were eliminated. Or one of them was a game 6 at home, and one of them was an elimination game.
Wrap up the series.
Yeah, game 6 at home, 4 for 16, 0 for 6. I wish I could see the turnovers, but I gotta go deeper into that. Let me look. And then in game 7, season on the line, against your hated rivals, Boston Celtics, 3 for 11, 1 for 5. Welcome to the Sharks. Welcome to the Sharks.
I just look up like James Harden playoffs, and James Harden sets NBA single game playoff record with 13 turnovers.
Oh, yeah, in the 2 losses against Boston,
breaking
5
down
and
James
5.
Harden's postseason inefficiency.
He is the ultimate playoff disappearing act. Because he'll be good all season.
Well, he's rivaled by his teammate.
No, I know.
I
know. That's the best part about him. Is that him and his teammate are literally, it's like tall James Harden. He's his teammate. So yeah, Shanghai Sharks, point guard of the future, James Harden. Minus 30 in his last game 7. Woof.
Yeah, that whole team was minus.
Yeah, that's true.
His defense, I guess.
Who you got next?
All right, I'm gonna go. Maybe a little recency bias, but this is a man who, under no circumstances, will be returning to his NBA team this year, and that's Dylan Brooks.
Damn
who will
it!
be playing shooting guard on the Guangdong Tigers.
Damn it! You took one of my guards.
I'll put Simmons at small forward with that pick because I like who I have elsewhere.
Dylan Brooks, another guy with his teammate could be on this list, but
yeah. But what a disaster for playoffs for him to come out. Actually, was a valuable player for this Grizzlies team the last couple of years, like an important player on a team that was the 2 seed in the conference. Then to call out LeBron and basically say, I'm not scared of you until you drop 40 on me. And then to put up an absolute brick fest next 4 games of the series, get knocked out of the playoffs. And then to have your team say, under no circumstances will we resign you.
He shot...
That has Guangdong star written all over it.
He shot, in the last 3 games again in the season against the Lakers, 2 for 5. This is from 3. 1 from 7, and 2 for 10. In what world does he think?
He taking that many?
Why? Yeah. In what world is he taking 10 threes? In what world?
He had something to prove, but didn't do it.
And he as you said, pokes the bear, goes at LeBron, and after, it seemed like it was, because it wasn't like Dylan Brooks was, this superstar that everyone loved. But he wasn't, people thought he was annoying, but no one really hated Dylan Brooks. There wasn't this ship off to China like there was now. And he says the thing against LeBron, and he falls off a goddamn cliff. Falls off a cliff. He just, completely implodes as a player. And it becomes the best meme out there.
Of the span of 5 games.
Yep. What? I can't believe you took my pick. I was going to pick him next.
We're always on the same
we're always
wavelength, generally.
All right. Great pick. Absolutely love it. I already have a guard, James Harden. Do I just... Screw it. I'm taking tall James Harden. I'm taking Joel Embiid. Welcome to the Shanghai Sharks. Teammates, once again, the only thing I'm worried about now is once the Chinese playoffs start, they might get cooked by some Chinese guys. They're not going to show up. So, Embiid, this one is just really to piss off Sixers fans. There's a lot of
The MVP of the league in
yes,
Shanghai is
he's
brutal.
coming to yeah, and it's only because of the just like Harden, the disappearing act in the playoffs. That's really where that's where this concept started, and so I'm gonna play into it. In the playoffs,
Can't argue with it.
no, in the playoffs he doesn't perform when necessary. He will have good games, but when it's necessary, he won't be there. And you could say, oh, he got 26 points in Game 6 against the Celtics, but he also, I think, scored 0 in the fourth quarter and barely got the ball even in the fourth quarter. There's moments where he just looks scared. He flops around all the time on the floor, rolling around, always injured. And when it comes to time, 15 points to Game 7. Welcome to Shanghai.
We're past the injury stuff.
Yeah,
He's no longer like the guy who can't stay healthy. He's just the guy that doesn't show up.
Since he's a league MVP, is this like this is a safe pick, right? I'm allowed to take him, Joel Embiid. I mean, even though
why not?
All right, cool. All right, I'm glad you're on board. That's fine. Yeah, league MVP. Welcome to Shanghai.
All right, moving on. I'm gonna go with another one of our favorites, who's put on a show in these playoffs especially, and that's DeAndre Ayton.
Nice.
Who does not want to be here. I think he would love it in Guangdong.
Mm-hmm.
Fit right in. The alley-oop connection between Simmons and Ayton. Perfect.
I like it.
We have just the Barker of Dylan Brooks. The team's really coming together.
The team is coming together. You have the guy who is the most comparable to Ben Simmons in the playoffs, where the fact that he just doesn't care. And it's not even like he just gets worse, unbeknownst to everyone else. He just seems like he's out there just so he doesn't get fined. I mean, Ayton, we were watching him.
He just has that pouty face all the time, even though he looks like he's 50 years old.
Yeah. Oh God, he is bad. I mean, he didn't play that last game. At 8 points against the Nuggets, 14 against the Nuggets. What else? I mean, he that when a viral 4 points, when a viral video comes out that you are just watching Kevin Durant and Jokic fight for a rebound while you're standing on the sidelines, that's your ticket to China. That's your ticket right there. So, yeah, he's and it's he's also he was the number 1 pick, and I guess so was Ben Simmons, but he was supposed to be this
former number 1 picks.
He was supposed to be this, this savior to the Suns, and he's supposed to be this other big piece of their almost big 4, and nothing. Couldn't get nothing out of him. And now it just seems like last year.
A minute though, we thought that he was the real deal, and then he got paid.
Yeah, well, and he made it to the finals. He was really good, and then all of a sudden he didn't want to be on the team for a little bit, and then he got a contract, and I don't know. He just looks he just looks too old. He just looks way too old. He looks way too old. He's 24 years old. He plays and looks like he's 45.
Can't believe he's that young.
I know. So, I mean, there's still hope for him, I think, in the league. I think
Guangdong, maybe.
Yeah, in the league. I'm telling you, in the league. In the Guangdong Tigers, he'll be great. But, yeah, I guess fruitful career coming up in Guangdong. All right. I got to ask, when making this list, did you have trouble finding people that weren't either point guards or centers? I had trouble finding small forwards.
I have 2 if you consider it Simmons.
Okay.
I might put my other one at power forward. Yes, right. Those were the 2 main positions.
Yeah, I think it's just because the big guys look so goofy when they're bad. It's so easy to rip on them when they're bad.
It is. Well, and the guys with the ball in their hands when they put up
Yeah.
shots.
Yeah, that's true.
Like brick after brick after brick.
All right, I'm going power forward here. A guy that has been kind of swept under the rug because of, later playoff travesties, but Julius Randle, Knicks legend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Pick.
Terrible player for the end of the Knicks season. He was almost unplayable. And he actually was unplayable to the degree where they benched him in the fourth quarter in the first round. But Julius Randle is like Knicks fans, like, demon. They hate Julius Randle. His final game of the season, 15 points, 3 for 14 field goal percentage. Horrific.
He just, like, the character arc is insane.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was, like, the best player on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And the Knicks were finally good again.
He was the savior for a minute.
Completely tanked in the playoffs.
He's another one with, he's unlucky with his face. Because when he's on the side, when he's sitting on the sidelines, and he's, like, playing bad, and he's not happy, he's, like, frowning.
Yeah.
His face doesn't help him.
No, not at all.
He just kind of looks like a frog. So, I don't think that helps. And he's going to fit perfectly on the Shanghai Sharks.
That's a good pick. He shot 37% in the playoffs.
Ooh. And he's also, like, that he's, like, what, 6'11"? 6'8". 6'8".
No, yeah.
But still, those 6'8" and above, you shouldn't be shooting 30% from the field. I mean, he had against the Heat, he had another game, 4 for 15, 10 points, 0 for 5, 3. Even the Cavaliers series, 11, 7, 13. I mean, he was just terrible.
Great.
All right.
I'm going to fill in my point guard slot with D'Angelo Russell.
Damn it.
We were talking about the Lakers and how, like, all these Laker role players have actually been pretty good. And he has just been horrendous for them. Like, when they got him, it was like, oh, like, that could be a good piece, like D'Angelo Russell. Oof.
Well,
and what an awful series.
D'Angelo, he always has this stigma to him where he will have these games where he just thinks he's way better than he is.
It's every game, I think.
Okay, yeah, that's probably fair. And he's just not.
Just who he is as a player.
He was decent in the Warriors series. He had he had one or two bad games. Terrible in the Nuggets series. Awful. Horrendous. And
I looked it up on StatMuse. He was 2 of 15 from 3. Should be 13%. He was 10 of 31 from the floor. 32%.
Oof. And
he scored 25 points in 4 games.
Yeah, that's terrible. That is absolutely terrible.
I'm trying to, like, pick the statistic that looks the worst. I think that's the worst one.
Yeah, 25 points in 4 games is riveting. And it doesn't hit, like, his defense doesn't help either. On the other side of the ball, he's a pine cone out there, a pylon or a pine, whatever you want to call him. He's terrible. And they're going to move on from him, or at least they should. And he
there's no way they don't.
Nah, and like he'll have those couple good games where he's got the ice in his veins and, like, it looks good and everything. But if he doesn't have it on, he's terrible. He's really bad.
He is awful. He's another one that, like, he has the talent. He just never really figured it out. And for a couple of years, it seemed like he might have. Maybe he goes somewhere else and he has a better year.
Yeah,
somewhere else.
Guangdong. Yeah, exactly. All right, so I need to go to my bench now. I hate doing this to you, and I love the guy too. You're not gonna expect this.
Too.
Oh, okay. Kevin Huerter.
Let's see. Oh
Yeah, I'm
no!
sorry. I'm
No! He
sorry.
had one bad series.
Kevin, I'm sorry,
He's
Kevin.
great this year.
I love Kevin, but
Not cool.
he
Not
was
cool.
so bad against the Warriors.
It was bad.
He was terrible. Uh, God, I don't think he had one good game against the Warriors. No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
He did not have one good game.
That game 7 against the Sixers.
Yeah, no, look, he's had his moments. This is for the 2022-2023 season. I need a shooting guard, and I already like the guy, so let's ship him to China for me. I want him on my team.
It's bad. He got 9 a game in the playoffs.
7 points.
20% from 3 as a 3-point shooter.
God, in game 5 he had 2 points. 2 points. Really, really bad.
Oh,
In
I'm
20
for it,
minutes.
but I understand it.
Oh man. And I feel bad.
I thought you were
Yeah, I feel bad for taking this pick because I like Kevin Herter.
nice. You're gonna take Beal.
I thought you could take Beal. No, Beal scores too much. I mean, I guess he does fit in Guangdong.
You can't beat it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I do have it.
35 a game.
I guess the thing is Beal.
Out of the playoffs.
Yeah, Beal doesn't have the playoffs to collapse
He's a
in.
loser.
Yeah, he's just a bum.
I have one on here that's gonna end up being an honorable mention. I think it's like
There's at least a couple I could throw an honorable mention. But yeah, shooting guard, rounding out. I need a 3-point shooter. Kevin Herter, 20%.
All right, fine. I'm gonna go with one that you might not have thought of, who gets off the hook because of how bad his teammates are. But Tobias Harris has been waste.
Ooh. That's a great pick. That's a great pick.
The guy that they gave a max contract has been useless.
Yeah, he really has.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, you never hear about him.
No. And he's making max money. He's making way too much money to never hear about him.
I mean, he's been horrible. This year was his worst year by far. He's a non-factor out there.
What I mean, it's funny because you don't even remember that he's on the team while you're watching them. Like while you have.
Wait, who's the guy in the headband? Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, you're like, oh shit, I forgot Tobias. Yeah, it's like they chose.
They could have had Jimmy Butler.
That'll haunt the Sixers for the rest of their franchise.
Yeah, they chose Simmons and Harris over Jimmy Butler.
And yeah, he's just a complete non-factor. Even when like he had a 25-point game against the Nets, and I had no idea. Like even when he plays well, it's like you never hear about him. He is a complete non-factor that they pay way too much money for. Oh, God sakes! All right, great pick. Literally, stellar pick that I didn't even have him as an option because he was so forgettable. All right, I need a small forward now. And there's my team. It's funny. My team is almost too good to be in Shanghai because it's just a bunch of guys who have fallen off in the playoffs specifically.
Right.
You know what? This guy fits perfectly. I'm putting my small forward position. He's gonna have to play a little out of position, a little big for a small forward. Grant Williams, welcome to the squad.
I had him.
Guy, welcome to the squad. Welcome to the squad. So, I mean, we already talked about Grant, so we can move on. But Grant made it.
He's a burner.
he's
a boob, I think.
He's way more of a boob. Yeah, he's way more of a boob.
Yeah. Got boob written all over him. All right, I had some honorable mentions that I'll throw on there.
All right.
I had Jordan Poole.
Yes.
His miserable playoff performance.
Yep.
I did have Bradley Beal on there. I don't know how deserving he is. Porzingis could be on there too. The whole freaking team.
Well, when you look if you look up, as we did, we talked about it. We looked up Shanghai and just got some suggestions.
It's like half Wizards.
And yeah, there was one
photo.
It was Kuzma and Porzingis chilling. Okay. Who else you got?
And then I have Karl Anthony Towns.
Oh, Cat had to be on there.
Soft.
Yep. He had to be
Soft.
on there. I have the people you mentioned. I also had Chris Paul, sleeper, missed both teams. Then Klay Thompson.
Okay. Was bad.
He was bad. Donovan Mitchell, surprising Guangdong
Really?
Tiger. I thought on there. If you look, he had a bad playoffs. He had a couple good
Right.
games, but like the stinkers, he was.
They were out so quick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was bad.
Yeah, he had some stinkers. John Collins, he'll never find a new NBA team, so we might as well bring him to.
Yeah, that's right.
Bring him to Guangdong.
Fucking ship him off to Shanghai.
Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, I almost said that too.
Chris Middleton, sneaky. Honorable mention, sneaky.
Okay.
And then Jaylen Brown. I just had to throw him on there after last night's performance. Put him in mind. He's a little too recency bias, but
yeah.
All right. Who's your coach?
It was tough deciding between these two guys.
I was gonna say there's two guys that I have on my list.
I gotta go with Doc.
Damn it!
Doc is my guy. Who's yours?
It's Joe Mazzulla.
Oh, is it?
It's Joe. It's 2022-2023 Joe Mazzulla. He's the
Budenholzer was my favorite.
Oh, I still feel bad for Budenholzer. His brother was dead. Yeah, his brother died. Had a rough series.
The fact that they did not call that timeout at the end of Game 5
that's
is
true.
Still unbelievable. Yeah, Mazzulla was like my third.
And it's funny because I think next year Budenholzer's going to be on the bench right next to Joe Maz making the decisions. So we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, so that's our Guangdong Tigers and Shanghai Sharks. I guess top 5 for the day. Our starting lineups.
Good list.
Should we get I guess we already did honorable mentions, but so I was gonna say 6-man, but nah, we're fine with that. We're fine with 5. Well, that was a lengthy pod. You got anything else? The South Carolina ended up being the 15th seed in baseball.
Yeah, Maryland got ripped off. They're playing Wake Forest region, who's number 1. Iowa, who they beat in the championship, is playing in Indiana State's region, and they're like the 14th seed. So I don't know how that works, but that's screwed.
Yeah, we're surprisingly hosting after ending the season 4-15. So that was like the latter half of the season, 4-15, not very good. But hey, you're in it now, so all that doesn't matter. You're in it. See what happens. Right. See what we can do. I'll get an update if it gets cool.
I think Friday it starts.
Okay, so I'll give an update if they win some games, but they haven't been. I don't have much expectations for my Gamecocks. Yeah. All right. Well, other than that, that's all I got. All right. Well, then
we'll on a nice note.
Yeah. I wanted on a high note for me, I guess. That does it. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see everyone for Game 1 recap of the NBA Finals this Friday. See you guys all there. Thanks for listening.